All right. Section 3, locomotive CSS air brake handling and equipment handling, locomotives condition, locomotive operation 5300, 5301. Ensuring locomotives are inspected. Each locomotive must be inspected once each calendar day. Engineer responsibility. Engineer must make sure that the locomotive consists of his or her charge of the receipt of the required calendar day inspection. B. The inspection made by the mechanical department. The engineer must accept the results of the inspection performed in the mechanical department. 302. Determine if the inspection is required when the locomotive will not be used in service. Do not inspect the locomotive that will be used in service. If the locomotive is due to the calendar inspection, comply with Rule 5307. A. Completing the placing or non-compliance tag. When the locomotive will be used in service, remove the calendar date inspection upon taking the charge of the locomotive. When taking the charge of the run of the power, change the lead of the locomotive calendar day inspection report. Look for the calendar day inspection tags placed in accordance with the Rule 5304, tagging a locomotive due to the inspection at a different time. Governance fouls. When a calendar day inspection is not required, when a previous calendar day it was made on the current day, calendar day inspection was made on the current day, do not make it another inspection. Making a calendar day inspection before using the locomotive. Making a calendar day inspection before using the locomotive. If the calendar day inspection can be not found, last calendar day inspected was not made either on current day or the previous day. 3. The making calendar day inspection before 2400 hours of the current day. If the last current calendar day inspection was made on the previous day, the inspection may be made current day to 2359 past the hour. Securing authorization to perform through calendar day inspection when locomotive requires calendar day inspection in accordance with the paragraph B above, 3 above. Secure authority to inspection in accordance with the following. When your tour duty began at 1200 hours or later, when the calendar inspection required on the current day, securing instructions regarding the calendar day inspection should be conducted. Under no circumstance can a locomotive require a calendar day inspection to be operated past 2359, 1 till 2400 hours. When tour of duty begins at 1200 hours, then the calendar inspection will be required on the current day, making the inspection before leaving the train, unless doing so would cause the violation of the Hours of Service Act. Instruct the proper authority when touring a duty before 2400 hours. The calendar day inspection will be required on that current day, making the inspection before leaving the train, unless doing so would cause violation of Hours of Service Act. Instruct the proper authority for another employee will make inspection before 2300. 1 till 2400 hours. When setting out a locomotive en route, when the locomotive being set and en route requires a calendar day inspection on that current day, making the inspection unless instructed by the proper authority of another employee will make inspection before 2300. 1 till 2400 hours. 5304, tagging locomotive doing the inspection different time. When a locomotive consists of the due to the calendar day inspection before the lead locomotive dues inspection, complete a calendar day inspection, tag it, attach the installation switch to the lead locomotive. 5305, performing a calendar day inspection. When a calendar day inspection is required, inspect the locomotive with non-complying conditions. The locomotive must be considered as having a non-compliant condition where any of the conditions listed below are not met. The locomotive must be handled in accordance with Rule 5308, moving locomotives with non-compliant conditions. A. Inspection of operating cab. Floors, passageways must be free of slip or trip hazards. Fused or torpedoes must be contained or provided. Cab seats must be secured. Traction motors, the DC power locomotive must be cut in. Windows of the lead locomotive must be clear of view. The following must be in operation on, from, or lead locomotive. Front of the headlight, at least one bulb on the headlight in the front of the locomotive consists. Rear headlight, at least one bulb of the headlight of the rear of the locomotive consists of the locomotive is used in the yard service and road service and regardless required to run in the backyard if any of the portion of the trip other than is the pickup of the portion of the train making the terminal movements. Inspection of the operation cab, horn bell, crossing bell, gauge lights that must permit accurate reading in gauges. The engineer cab light must be provided sufficient illumination for reading necessary documentation. B. Inspection of walkway engine compartment. Walkways must be free of slip or hazard. Handrails, handholds, step ladders, guards must be secured readily in service. Guards, electrical rotating equipment must be in place. Safety chains and must provide a continuous barrier between locomotives. Provide a continuous barrier across the front and the rear locomotive consists of be connected to the high enough to permit safe passages. C. Making a ground inspection. Sanders must deposit sand on the rails in front of the lead wheels in the direction of the movement, and consist of rear wheels. Fuel tanks must not have any legs. Brake cylinder piston treble must be at minimum sufficient to permit the brake shoes to clear wheels when the brake is released. Maximum not more than total piston treble displayed on Block 10 Form 6108. F6180049A minus 1/2 an inch. Brake shoes must be secured aligned with the wheel. Brake rigging must not be binded or foul. There must be no cracks, broken, missing parts on any of the locomotive trucks, wheel, gear cases, draft gears, couplers, or coupler carrier. Jumper cables must not be frayed, damaged, be stowed, unused, or have unconnected to work receptacle or dummy receptacle. 5306, making a report of the calendar inspection. Complete a calendar day inspection. Leave the locomotive inspected. 5703, report non-compliant conditions. When non-compliant conditions exist, the locomotive, the engineer must comply with the requirements of this rule. Completing a placement non-compliance tag. A non-compliance compliant condition exists on the locomotive. Complete the non-compliance tag indicating the non-compliant conditions. Attaching the appropriate part of the tag, the installation switch of the non-compliant locomotive, and other parts of the isolation switch of the controlling locomotive. The non-compliance tag must remain on the affected locomotive to provide a notification for the next engineer. Complete the attachment of the non-compliance tag as required in F302A. Locomotive that will not be used in service even though the locomotive is not defective. Both copies of the non-compliance tag must be placed on the non-complying locomotive to set off. B. Discovering the condition during the calendar day inspection. Addition, paragraph A of the rules. The rules details non-compliant condition of the calendar day inspection report when the conditions discovered during the performance of the calendar day inspection. C. The discovering the conditions while en route. In addition to the paragraph A of the rule, records the details non-compliant condition locomotive work report. The conditions discovered en route. D. Reporting the non-compliant condition. When a non-compliant condition is discovered, promptly report the details condition, including the restrictions placed on the locomotive. Train dispatcher, yard, mechanical desk, all other crew members. 5308, moving locomotives non-compliant conditions comply with the requirements of the rule. When a condition described in one of the following rules exists. 5305, performing a calendar day inspection. 5411, ditch lights. Rule 4153, flat spots, meeting the non-compliant condition of the locomotive. A. Discovering the condition during a calendar day inspection. If possible, bring the locomotive into compliance with switching consists of correcting the condition. If the locomotive can be brought to compliance through one above the engineer, other qualified employee must determine whether the locomotive is safe to move. A handling non-complying locomotive that is safe to move. If non-complying locomotive is safe to move, may only be moved either live or dead within the yard, not exceeding 10 miles an hour. If the locomotive consists not attached to the cars, isolated or shut down temperature permitting when attached cars. B. Reporting non-compliant locomotive that is not safe to move. The locomotive is not safe to move. Notify the train dispatcher and yard master. B. Discover the condition while en route. If possible, bring the locomotive in compliance with switching that consists of the correcting condition. Discovering the condition when en route. If possible, the locomotive is not into compliance, switching the consisting correction of the condition. If the locomotive cannot be brought into compliance with through the one above, the engineer other than equipped, the employee must be determined whether the locomotive is safe to move. Handling a non-compliant locomotive that is safe to move. If the locomotive is safe to move, it may not only be operated until if the locomotive is non-complying locomotive that is safe to move, the locomotive is safe to move, it may only be operated until earlier of the performance of the next calendar day inspection. Research of the next forward point of the necessary repairs to be made. B. Reporting non-complying locomotive that is safe to move. If the locomotive is not safe to move, notify the train dispatcher yard master. C. The position of the non-compliant locomotive. When a locomotive is isolated, shut down, and route to the non-compliant condition, do not permit the locomotive to remain on the controlling lead position after the performance of the next calendar day inspection. 5309 Locomotive Work Reports. Completing a locomotive work report. Completing a locomotive work report for a locomotive consists of each trip of the tour of duty detailing the locomotive's initial numbers, the information required for lines 1 through 4 of the report, problems and usual occurrences, defects, non-compliant conditions discovered en route. The locomotive work report may be used more than one engineer if space permits. The reporting requirements pertain to the foreign detail railroad locomotives as well as CSXT locomotives. Complying with the locomotive work report of the setting out of the locomotive. When setting out of the locomotive, complete the locomotive work report detailing the information required in paragraph 8 of this rule. Leave it on board of the set of the locomotive. 53010 Reporting locomotive defects. Properly report the defects discovered en route of the train dispatcher, the yard master, the mechanical desk, all other crew members. While reporting the defects of the train dispatcher, yard master, mechanical desk, use the 3-letter code accompanying the color of the code assisted the cover locomotive work report label. Telephone number of the mechanical desk and RNX system is 83888-540 or 83888-5555. The Bell system is 1-800-624-8385. 5350 locomotive conditions. 5351 starting the diesel engine. When starting a diesel engine, it is prohibited. Do not attempt to start a diesel engine when any of the following conditions exist: hot engine lube oil indications per display, and at the same time, crankcase over the pressure is divided. Case over pressure device is tripped. Indication of the governor shutdown or low lube oil occurs in 2 consecutive times. 2 to start the diesel engine. To start the diesel engine, follow the steps below. The instruction below conflict with the decal posted in the cab of the SD700 AC, SD80 AC, SD90 AC locomotive. Comply with the instruction on the decal. Starting the diesel engine step in action locomotive cab. 1. Place the isolation switch to the start position. 2. Make certain that the battery knife switch is closed. 3. Reset the trip circuit breakers. Place the control fuel pump switch position on the on position. 4. Make certain that the fuses are properly positioned. Make certain that the throttle of the multiple unit shutdown button is not in the stop position. 6. The engine room. Reset the engine protective devices that are tripped, except do not reset the crankcase overpressure device. 7. Check the engine lube, coil water, air compressor lube oil levels. If any of the levels are properly low level and do not start the engine, contact the mechanical desk. If all levels above the low level and started the engine. 8. Start engine. Primary fuel system. The following conditions indicate the fuel system is the following conditions indicated the system is primed. Sight glasses of fuel. Starting the engine. Prime the fuel system. The following condition include the fuel system is primed. Sight glasses full of fuel. Pressure of the gauge is equipped and indicates at least 30 psi, or the system has primed continuously for 30 seconds. 9. Crank the diesel engine until it starts no longer than 30 seconds in the notes. Hold the lay shaft lever. On the diesel engine, so they're equipped for the 1/3 of the travel. There may be a delay up to 15 seconds before the General Electric diesel engine begins to crank. If the diesel engine fails to start, repeat the procedure. If it does not start at the second attempt, contact the mechanical department. 5352 shutting down diesel engine. A performance emergency shutdown. Shut down the diesel engine as soon as possible. Emergency situation as follows. Shutting down the entire consists of shutting down all diesel engines on a line, either then placing the throttle in the stop position, upright control stands, depressing the stop button on the overhead console, locomotives on the stop control stand, shutting down the individual locomotives, depressing an emergency fuel cutoff valve switch, immediately shut off the diesel engine, depressing an emergency fuel cutoff switch of the locomotive would immediately shut down the locomotive diesel engine down, disable the auxiliary power unit, the APU, or the AESS automatic engine start-stop system. Before normal shutdown, operate the diesel engine at least throttle position 8 for at least 30 minutes before shutdown. To shut down the diesel engine, follow the steps below. When the instructions conflict with the decal posted in the cabs, SD70 AC, SD80 AC, SD90 AC, and new locomotive comply with the instruction on the decal. Shutting down the diesel engine. All locomotives except for the CW60AC place the isolation switch in the start position. Stop the engine, pressing the engine stop button. Open the radio circuit breaker. Open the battery's knife switch. CW60AC locomotive place the isolation switch in the start position. Stop the engine, pressing the engine stop button. To press the holding the computer reset off button in at least 2 seconds. The computer screen will display a please wait. Computer shutdown in progress. After 15 seconds, the computer screen will display no external video. Open the radio circuit breaker and open battery knife switch. 53 coupling locomotives. When locomotives are secured, it's three-step protection in accordance with the Rule 2053A, the three-step protection. Before following with the equipment, the locomotive engineer is in the cab if one of the locomotives is being operated remotely. When the coupling locomotives make a certain coupler or locks and stretching, the coupling completed the following tasks. Position the control switches, air brake the valves, and controlling the locomotive. Position the control switches, air brake valves on the trailing locomotives. Make certain that the engine runs, control, and the fuel pump generated fuel switches are in the off position. Position the walkways, safety chains to provide safe movement from one locomotive to the other. Install the jumper cable, making the following air hose connections: brake pipe hose, main reserve equalizing hose, actuating hose, independent application and release hose. Open angle cock and end cocks for coupled air hoses. 54 uncoupling locomotives. When uncoupling locomotives, secure three-step protection in accordance with the Rule 2053 three-step protection. Before following the equipment, the locomotive engineer is in the cab. If one of the locomotives is operated remotely, complete the following tasks uncoupling the locomotive. Secure the locomotive to be left standing. Disconnect the reposting the safety chains. Position the walkways. Close the angle cock and close the angle cock and the end cocks when necessary. Disconnect the store jumper cables. Position the control switch and air brake valves for the locomotive to be standing. Note: do not break air hose connection by hand. Also, allow those connections to be broken by locomotives apart. 55 changing ends. When required to operate different locomotives inconsistent with these steps below the change ends. Changing ends. Operate a different locomotive inconsistent with the following steps to change ends. Cutting out. Making certain the independent brake valve is in full application position. Remove the proper store of the reverse lever. Make full service reduction. Making center brake pipe exhaust stops. Cut automatic braking to put in the handle off position. Put the independent brake put into the release position. Set the switches controls trailing operation proceeds promptly to the locomotive to be cut in. The cut in. Place the independent brake in the full application position and cut in. Pull the switches control lead unit operation. Place the automatic brake in release position. Adjust the equalizing reservoir pressure if necessary. Cut in the automatic brake. 56 secure the locomotive consist. Engineering secure the locomotive consist must be applied a number of the hand and brakes required to operating rule, making certain the consist will not move. A. Operating handbrake. When applying the handbrake, operating the mechanism until all slack is removed from the chain of the brake of the shoes where the handbrake is connected with the light at our tight and answer against the wheels. Alright, 56, securing the locomotive consists. Ensure the securing locomotive consists must apply the number of the handbrakes and apply the number of handbrakes required to operating rule or making a certain consist will not move. A. Operating handbrake. When applying the handbrake, operate the mechanism until the slack is removed from the chain and the brake shoes to which the handbrake is connected to tight against the wheels. On a locomotive, when unslugging the brake cylinder is equipped with the brake cylinder release valve, make certain that the brake cylinder is between L1 and L2 is in, which means released. Operating electrical brake parking brake. The exception of rule electrical parking brake will be considered as the same as a handbrake. The EMD SD80 Mac equipment applying the electrical parking brake. To apply the electrical parking brake, follow the steps as below. Make certain that the brake circuit breaker is on the on position. Rotate the collar of the brake with the Switch clockwise again with the indicator marked with the position applied. Press the hold push and needle indicator needle indicator on the parking brake meter must move to the extreme right position and remain steady in applied zone. This may take 45 to 50 seconds. Note the indicator needle does not move after the push button and pressed. In 30 seconds, the parking brake must be operated manually. Do not hold the push button for more than 15 seconds after the indicator needle reaches and remain steady in an applied zone. Test the parking brake effectiveness according with the paragraph C, verifying handbrake effectiveness. B. Applying electrical parking brake manually. To apply electrical parking brake manually, follow the steps. 1. Parking brake circuit breaker is in the off position. 2. Remove the handbrake crank of the container adjacent with the parking brake, which is located on the left side of the front truck. Apply the hand crank to the manual drive, the shaft of the parking brake unit, and clockwise until the brake shoe is firmly against the L2 and L3 wheels. 4. Remove the store of the hand crank. 5. Place the parking brake circuit breaker onto the on position. Test the parking brake effectiveness according to paragraph C, verifying the handbrake effectiveness. Releasing the electric brake parking brake. To release the electronic parking brake, follow these steps. Rotate the collar of the brake pipe, switching counterclockwise, and align the indicator with the position marked to release. Press the hold push button to the indicator needle of the parking brake meter knee. Moves to the extreme left position and remains steady. In release zone, this may be 45 to 50 seconds. Note that the indicator needle does not move after the push button has been released 30 seconds. The parking brake must be operated manually. Do not hold the push button in more than 15 seconds after the needle indicator reaches or remains a steady release zone. Releasing the air electronic handbrake manually. To release an electronic handbrake manually, follow these steps. 1. Place the parking circuit breaker in the off position. 2. Remove the handbrake to the container adjacent with the brake pipe and located on the left side of the front truck. 3. Rotate the hand crank counterclockwise until the brake shoes of the L2 and L3 wheels wears away and the wheels when parking in the brake or the air brakes are released. 4. Remove the store of the hand crank. 2. Safe set locomotive parking brake equipment. Safe set parking brake equipment is ratchet brake type of design retrofitted onto older locomotives. This equipment can be operated either electronically or manually. The system can be electrically released manually or set manually or released electrically. And applying safe set parking brake. Making a certain parking brake circuit is turned on. Make sure the brake release is set to the upper button at the face of the handbrake housing. Once the handbrake set is blue, the LED portion of the button will illuminate for 5 seconds. Manually apply the brake in accordance with the Part C, applying the safe set parking brake manually upon observing one of the following. Blue, the LED flashes continuously 1 volt over the voltage indication operator may be disabled. Blue or both green LED flashes alternate pattern braking motor problem. No LED illumination, no power supply, parking brake circuit breaker is on. Test the parking brake effectiveness according to the paragraph C, verifying handle brake effectiveness. Releasing safe set parking brake. 1. Make certain the brake pipe circuit breaker is turned on. Press the release button to the lower button of the face of the hand of the brake housing. Once hand brake is released, green LED portion of the button will illuminate for 5 seconds. Note that the manual release brake in accordance with the part of the releasing the safe set parking brake manually upon observing one of the following. The green LED flashing continuous under voltage indication operation may be disabled. Both blue and green LED flashlights are alternate pattern modern problem. No ELD illumination, no power supply, parking brake circuit breaker. Apply safe set parking brake or manual. 1. The parking brake circuit can be positioned manually. Operate the handbrake ratchet lever until the brake is set. Manually set that will be taking more strokes than applying the traditional catch A tooth type of the handbrake. Test the part of the brake effectiveness according to paragraph C, verifying handbrake effectiveness. 4. Report the reason not being able to electronically apply the brake. D. Releasing a safe set parking brake manually. Park the brake center position on. Manually pull the handle brake release lever 1 time. Testing handbrake. After applying the handbrake, follow the steps and make certain that the locomotive consists will not move. The pleased independent with automatic brakes. 1. And testing the handbrake effectiveness. 1. Place the independent and automatic brakes in the release position. Place the throttle in number 1 position under power. If the locomotive does not power, does not consider the handbrake effect. If the locomotive does not move, consider the handbrake effective. If the locomotive moves, place in throttle in idle position and govern as follows. If the locomotive stops within 10 feet, consider the handbrake effective. If the locomotive does not stop within 10 feet, place the independent brake valve in the full application position. Comply with the paragraph 2 performing test when the locomotive is equipped with the handbrake when the handbrake does not prevent the movement. 2. Performing the test when the locomotive is not equipped with the handbrake when the handbrake does not prevent movement. When the locomotive is equipped with a handbrake when its handbrake does not prevent the movement, place a chock or a chain to the front of the rear of the number of the R2 wheel. Follow the steps below. Make a certain locomotive consist will not move. Making certain that the locomotive consists will not move. Taking effective chock of the chain. 1. Place the independent and the automatic brake valve in release position. 2. The locomotive remains stationary. Consider the chock of the chain effective. Locomotive moves. Stop the locomotive and apply the additional chock or chains repeated in step 1, 2, and 3 if necessary. 53, 57, leaving locomotives unintended. Leaving locomotive consists of unintended. Comply with the rule. 53, 56, securing locomotive consists of the position controls and controlling locomotive unless otherwise indicated below. The independent brake valve, brake cutout and in full application position. Automatic brake cut in full service position. And locomotive coupled with the train. Release position. Locomotive is not coupled with the train. Throttle in idle position. Reverse lever removed and stored. Control fuel pump and switch in the on position. If the engine is running in the off position, the off position if the running is shut down. Generator field switches in the off position. Engine run switches in the off position. Isolation switches in the isolation position on all locomotives in the locomotive consist. A battery knife switch on the electric on all locomotives that consist of a closed if the battery knife is closed if the engine is left running. Open if the diesel engine is manually shut down or non-mechanically system restarted and planned. In areas of heavy vandalism, special instructions securing locomotive may differ to allow to remove removable brake handles. 5400 locomotive operation. 5401 conservative fuel using fuel conservation methods. Using a fuel conservation method at all times as follows. Unless instructed otherwise, the train dispatcher, yard master, or proper authority shut down the locomotive diesel engine when on locomotives will be left unattended and parked when. Alright, the temperature is locomotive below 28 degrees, idle condition assessed to the APU. Between 28 degrees and 32 degrees, 12 hours or less, the locomotive diesel is not in use more than 12 hours. Above 32 degrees, the locomotive shut down. Note that see item 2 below the additional instructions. And between the degrees 28 and 30 degrees, more than 12 hours in the idle condition of the AES and the APU function. When the locomotives are in the care of the locomotive operator following the applied locomotive service centers, use only one locomotive to permit transportation. The locomotive consists of the train first track to be coupled, therefore additional locomotives is necessary. B. The locomotives en route. After becoming a part of the train, preparing the departure online of the road to determine the status of the locomotive. The locomotive consists of shutdown, isolating training the locomotive not needed to handle the tonnage and safe control movement. That includes the train size reduction and from the setting of off the cars en route. When being temporarily delayed en route, the center of the reverse lever permit the locomotive on the line having AES or APU systems that function. Locomotives without fuel-saving systems must be manually shut down and isolated relatively to the temperature chart above. Shut down locomotive operated distributed power remote in the mode only in accordance with the instructed proper authority. When a train is delayed or permitted one engine to idle to supply air to the train brake system. When working in transfer trains, the yard assignment of a helper locomotive will be delayed more than 30 minutes. All locomotives will be shut down or isolated for proper securing. See a yard of train or leaving the locomotives unattended. When the yard or the train are prepared to leave the locomotives unattended, shut down all but one locomotive to permit the moving of the locomotive consists of the location to be left unattended. If other personnel when transportation mechanically are not available to take charge of the locomotive consist, any remaining of the locomotive will be shut down and isolated. When train is to be held, extended the period of time the terminal yard permit the locomotive to idle, substitute the yard ground the air and lieu using the idling locomotive to keep the train brake system charged. D. Locomotive equipped with the air starters or AES, the CSXT SD70 ACE units and CSXT 4831 through 4850, equipped with the air starts and the AES shut down locomotives only when the locomotive electrical start system operates air compressor coupled, otherwise isolates the SD70 ACE unit and permits the AES system for functioning. B. Checking and report fueling levels. Take and change the locomotive. Check the fuel levels on them. Report the fuel levels of less than 1,000 gallons properly to the mechanical desk. You contact the mechanical desk through the mobile radio access telephone company 818-388-5440 or 8388-55555 or the billing system 1-800-624-8385. 5402 Safety control devices prohibiting annual and prohibiting an annulment and safety control devices. The rule and federal regulations prohibit the unauthorized annulment of the safety control device holding the pneumatic foot in the dead pedal and with any of the other foot and would considering authorized annulment. B. Getting authorization to annulment the control device. The locomotive engineer may request the permission to train the dispatcher of the safety control devices and becomes defective and prohibits the normal train movement when the safety control device is cut out. Report doing the locomotive report. Resetting the air brake equipment trip of the safety control device. Reset the air brake system after the safety control device operates. Train stops. Place the throttle in the idle position, the dynamic brake lever in the off position. Place the automatic brake in suppression position. Make certain that the brake pipe exhausts with the stop for 20 seconds. Place an automatic brake in release position. 5403 Speed indicators. Checking the accuracy of the speed indicators. Accuracy of the speed indicator controlling the locomotive in locations includes special instructions. Report the result of the speed indicator accuracy of the locomotive report. B. Speed indicator requirements. Locomotive using controlling locomotive speed of 20 miles per hour must be equipped with an operative speed indicator which must accurately be within 3 miles per hour at the speed of 10 miles to 30 miles per hour or 5 miles per hour at the speeds above 30 miles per hour. If the speed indicator on the control locomotive fails en route, locomotive may continue controlling locomotive at a normal track speed at next repair facilities. It shows the seconds between the minutes and the miles per hour. 5404 complying with the short time ratings. I guess the speed table is for the mile markers and it breaks it down in seconds how fast you're going. So 5405 complying with the short time of the rating. Short time rating of the locomotive established as the manufacturer maximum rate locomotive can be operated at the given output throttle 8 and without risk to heating the damage to the traction motor. Short time ratings do not apply to the SD60, SD70-8-9 ACH locomotives. Operating locomotives consist below the minimum continuous speed. Avoid continuous operation at speeds lower than the minimum continuous speed of the locomotive consists. The locomotive continuously speed of the locomotive consists of the highest minimum continuous speed of any of the online locomotives in the consist. B. Prevent excessive operation in short time rating zone. Do not exceed available time in short time ratings. Operate at the outside of the short time rating zone at 20 minutes or more than restore maximum allowable time. C. Calculating available time shorting time ratings. The most restrictive time shorting rating zone reached during the operation dictates the maximum allowable time operating the short time ratings. Calculate available time in the short time ratings of subtracting total time operated with the short time ratings from the time permitted with the most restrictive zone of the locomotive is operated. Example 1. If the locomotive operates 1 hour zone of 15 minutes and operates a 30-minute zone, available for the locomotive can be operated in short time ratings is 15 minutes. The most restricted most restricted zone 30 minutes minus the amount of the short time ratings is 15 minutes. Available time for short time ratings is 15 minutes. If the result is subtracting 0, available to the time has been expired, short time ratings has been exceeded. If the locomotive operates within 1 hour zone of the 15 minutes and operates outside the short zone for less than 20 minutes, the locomotive returns to 1 hour zone for the available time of 1 hour zone of 45 minutes. The most effective restrictive zone of 1 hour minus the amount of time. The short time ratings is 15 minutes. Available time for short time minutes 45 minutes. Cooling traction motors. When available in short time has been expired, cooling traction motors. The cooling traction motors follow. Stop the movement. Place the reverse lever in the center position. Make the generator field switch into the off position. Place the throttle position in the number 4 for 20 minutes. If this becomes necessary, cool the traction motors twice while on the same grade. At a 40-minute cooling time will be required unless instructed otherwise of the train dispatcher. 5405 Caring for the equipment. A crew member may equalize responsibility for the care of the locomotive being used. The crew members must not place their feet on any of the wall, windows, or equipment, nor not right on mar or to face any wall, any window, or wall equipment. Not damage operating cab equipment. Deposit trash, litter bags. Keep the tools in proper locations. Make certain that all the doors, engine room, and electronic cabinet and locomotive are closed. Make certain that all the windows are closed with the cab lights turned off and the train locomotives when not in use. 5406 Protecting diesel engine freezing, setting the controls in standing locomotives. When the locomotive is changing the standing of the temperature is 15 degrees Fahrenheit or less, then place the reverse lever in the center position, generate the field switch in the off position, throttle the position number 3. Which is setting the controls of the ambient temperatures below 35 degrees Fahrenheit. When the locomotive consists of the contains most more of the locomotives that can be used in the Rule 5401 conserving fuel, isolate the excess of the locomotives and diesel engine running. The drain and diesel engine. When the temperature is at near freezing, the engine will not run, and the drain of the diesel engine cooling system locomotive not be equipped on operable auxiliary power. If any doubt, draining the diesel engine. The temperature is at near freezing, and the engine will not run, or the drain the diesel engine cooling system on the locomotive not equipped with an operable auxiliary power unit. If any of the doubt have how to drain the cooling system, contact the mechanical desk. You can talk to the mechanical desk through the mobile radio, access the telephone company phone 8388-5540, 8388-5555, bell system 1-800-6483. Warnings: always cool the system pressure before opening a drain valve with removing pressure cap. 5407 Inspecting the certain locomotive wheels are turning. Make certain that the locomotive wheels turn freely at any time. Excessive tripping the ground protective relay causes the locomotive to be isolated. Traction motor to be cut off. 5408 Reporting the hot traction motor supporting bearing. The traction motor supports the bearing suspected in being hot. Stop movement. Reporting the bearing to the train dispatcher mechanical desk. Comply with the instruction you may receive. 5409 Protection traction motor with water damage. Do not operate locomotive over the submerged by water unless the moment the train prevents stopping short of the submerged area. If the train movement prevents stopping the submerged area, do not follow before reaching the water. Place the reverse lever in center position, generator field switch in the off position, and throttle position to number 8. 5410 Adding cooling water to the diesel engine. When necessary to add water to the diesel engine, follow the steps below. Do not add water to the hot engine. Indicates displayed consistent. Consult the mechanical desk instruction. 1. Note the water level in the water sight glass. 2. If the diesel engine is running, shut it down. The diesel engine is not running, go to step 3. Wait for 4 minutes. Make a certain water level in sight glass not rising. If the water-filled nozzle with the water hose adapter is provided, operate the spring-loaded filler relief valve to vent the pressure from for 1 minute. If the water discharging at the end of the 1 minute period, do not add water. The system may be overfilled. 6. If the system is not overfilled, attach the water hose filled at the proper level. If the water hose of adapter is not provided, operate the pressure valve. If the one open water is discharged at the end of the 1 minute, do not add water. The system is overfilled. 6. If the system is not overfilled, remove the pressure cap and add water to the proper level. 5411 Ditch lights. When the locomotive is not equipped with ditch lights, do not exceed 20 miles per hour. The locomotive operates the highway crossing grade. When the locomotive is equipped with the ditch lights, make certain that The ditch lights are operational before the train leaves an initial terminal. When the ditch lights are after departing the train terminals respond as follows. If one ditch light fails to proceed at normal speed, do not proceed to the location when the next calendar day inspection unless the ditch light is prepared with the locomotive to switch with its running position. If both ditch lights fail, do not exceed 20 miles per hour. The locomotive operates the highway crossing grade. If the locomotive remains lead, do not proceed beyond the next location. Necessary repairs can be made to comply with the Rule 5308, moving locomotives non-compliant conditions. Section 4. Fundamental training handling, conventional training handling, helper services, and special train handling procedures.